My name is Suzanne Lamar, and I'm your host. You're right, this is the first time I've hosted the show, but I have spent the last 2 years in the background, whether I'm in the control room, helping with some computer graphics, helping design the set, or occasionally responsible for a pithy comment in the control room. But today, there was a story that compelled me to get out from behind the control room and in front of the camera so I could share it with you. Now, great stories often begin with humble beginnings, and this one's no different. All I wanted to do was to clean out my kitchen pantry. I hate this cabinet. It's so deep that anything that's behind that first or second row of product might as well be out in the abyss. So it was time to do the archaeological dig, clean out that pantry, and look at all the food I had and decide what to do with it. Clearly there was more there than I would ever eat in my lifetime, so it was time to jump onto the internet, do some Google searches, and figure out where I could donate it. To my surprise, the best place to donate it was 4 blocks away. Here I've owned my home here in Pacifica for 8 years. I've walked by the Pacifica Resource Center countless times, but I never knew what they do. And now that I do, I needed to share that story with you. I'm delighted that today, joining with me, is Anita Rees, the Executive Director of the Pacifica Resource Center. Thank you so much for joining me today, Anita.
Thank you, Suzanne, for inviting me to share the Pacifica Resource Center's history and programs with you today.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about what the Pacifica Resource Center does?
Well, we specifically provide a safety net for Pacificans of food, housing assistance, and other critical services.
So you just work with the homeless?
No, actually anybody in town who needs help can come to the Resource Center for support. Our job is to help prevent homelessness and help people who are homeless find shelter.
Excellent. Now, of course, since we're sponsored by the Historical Society, we always like to learn how everything began. So when was the Pacifica Resource Center started?
The Resource Center started in 1974 as a satellite site for the county of San Mateo. Residents of Pacifica could stop by the center to apply for food stamps or other public benefits, as well as visit with a public health nurse for well baby checkups and immunizations. Then in 1977, the County Board of Supervisors formalized its partnership with the Resource Center, making it one of the core agencies of San Mateo County to provide information and referrals, employment referrals, emergency food and shelter, and case management.
So that's great. And I think that, as you know, I raided your scrapbook and went and found a couple images so that we could show a little bit of the history on camera. It was a little more difficult to try to go back 38 years in time to film you. So you started out in the county agency. So is the PRC a county agency today?
No, actually in 1978, the county closed its satellite site in Pacifica, and Mayor Nick Gust and Director of Parks, Beaches, and Recreation, Ginny Silva, developed a partnership with the county to continue to provide these services in town. Yeah. It was then that the Pacifica Resource Center became part of the city of Pacifica.
So is the PRC part of the city?
No. In 2004, the Pacifica Resource Center split from the city and became a project of the Tides Center. Now,
I know you haven't been at the PRC for 38 years. That's just not possible. So you couldn't have been the original director. So who originally founded the agency?
Jerry Kramer was the original director, and he retired in March of 1992. And he was replaced by Pat Pack, who managed the Pacifica Resource Center for nearly 2 decades.
Okay. And so when did you start with the center?
I started in January 2010 when Director Pat Pack retired. Since then, we've leveraged resources from the Second Harvest Food Bank, Safeway in Half Moon Bay, Coastside Farmers Market, and most recently Fresh and Easy to increase food support to people in Pacifica. And we also added a 4th full-time staff person with the support of federal stimulus dollars to manage our front office and our new drop-in food programs. And in 2010, we served 3,200 families or individuals.
Wow, so that's a lot of people. Now, has the problem grown today? I mean, with the recession and the economic challenges over the past couple years, what do the numbers look like today?
Now we serve about 4,500 people unduplicated annually. And we bring in over $600,000 in outside resources of food, rental assistance and deposits, utility payments, transportation, all kinds of other services that you'll hear more about in a second.
That's a lot of people. Now, you only have a small staff there are 4 of you, right? So how do you manage the logistics with 4 people to help so many people here in town?
Volunteers. You know, we are so lucky to have so many people and organizations that want to help us, help our community. Neighbors helping neighbors is what we do.
Excellent. Well, and you know, one of the things that I've learned and really came to realize as I've had the opportunity to spend time with you and with your team is this whole issue of hunger. What concerns me is it's so hidden. I mean, the problem's hidden, obviously, and I mean, who wants to step up and be the before picture on anything? We all want to be the after picture, the skinny rich chick. We don't want to be the, you know, homeless, deprived, whatever. So I totally understand victims not wanting to come forward. But then what I realized as I attended some of your food distribution events, that we hide the solution too. And so, you know, my guess is that people in town have no idea what a big homeless problem or hunger problem we have, nor how many people are working behind the scenes to help solve that problem. Now, one of the other things I have to point out too is that the Pacifica Resource Center itself is such a discreet building. I mean, I did walk by the building countless times for 8 years before I found out what you did. And one of the things that always struck me was that the front door is locked. Now, why do you lock the front door to the center?
Well, our door is always open to our neighbors when they need help from us. And it's locked because we actively respect the privacy of the clients and people that we serve. The fact that you didn't know about the Pacifica Resource or what we did actually means we've done our job.
Well, maybe, however, it's time for us to go ahead and open the doors. And in fact, I have had the privilege of following you and your team around for the last several weeks and participating in many events. So let's go ahead and show the viewers at home exactly what it is the Pacifica Resource Center does.
I've noticed that there's a lot of families that need help. And I never really knew that there was that in Pacifica.
We are neighbors, and helping neighbors is the very first thing we have to do.
I've lived in Pacifica for 39 years now, and the city of Pacifica is so lucky, and the people of Pacifica are so lucky to have a place like the Pacifica Resource Center to come when they have trouble.
It helps people in need, that like all the people that need food and all that they can just come and get it for free.
Many of us here in Pacifica, in our bedroom community, we don't think of homelessness as being an issue here, but it's certainly an issue in Pacifica throughout our whole county. The Pacifica Resource Center staff and volunteers participated in what was called a point-in-time count. It was a census of homeless people in our county. And in Pacifica, we went from, I believe, 18 people who were counted as homeless 2 years ago to 95 people who are in our community either sleeping in their vehicles or on the streets or even sometimes on the beaches.
We want people to feel comfortable, not to be worried about being judged.
Everybody's welcome here, and everything is confidential.
It doesn't matter. If you need the help, you should come here. We're here to help anybody and everybody in the community.
Here at the Pacifica Resource Center, there really is no question that's out of bounds for any individual or family. So there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
We're not a building that just taking up space. That we're helping people out that need it.
So when you come to the Pacifica Resource Center, one of the main opportunities you'll have is a chance to sit down with me or with my colleague Marina. We'll usually be in one of our office spaces. We'll often have the door closed. It's a little more confidential, a little more private. But we'll really have a chance to sit down and start with what are your goals and what are your needs? What challenges are you or your family facing right now? You might come in for rental assistance, but by the time we've had a chance to confidentially really talk together, you'll leave with an opportunity for food, perhaps childcare options that you didn't know you had, the rental assistance that you were seeking, as well as some longer-term options on how you can begin to start saving or start rebuilding your credit.
We have to assess every family to see what programs families are qualified for. So it's very important that they come in and they tell us what's going on in the household, and then from them we start figuring out what's the best way to help every family, since every family, every case is different. So the situations are different, so it's really nice to be able to do that one-on-one.
In our pantry, we have plenty of non-perishable items. And what you wouldn't expect is that we also get locally grown produce, most of it organic, and some of it is grown specifically for the Pacifica Resource Center.
Originally, we just wanted to start a garden and see how things grew here. The rapport with the Pacifica Resource Center came the following year when I found out about the Pacifica Resource Center, because I didn't know anything about it. I saw the Pacifica Gardens website and I visited Pacifica Gardens, and I saw that they were donating vegetables to the Pacifica Resource Center, and I thought that's something that we could do to help the community and the needy families in Pacifica. I was not aware that there were that number of needy families in Pacifica.
The Master Gardeners are a volunteer organization taught by the University of California Cooperative Extension. We act as the liaison between the UC scientific research in agriculture and the home gardener.
I saw an ad in the paper seeing that the library needed some help with their garden, and became involved that way in May of last year. It used to just be 2 small beds, and we now have 8 large 4 by 10 foot vegetable beds and a large perimeter bed. And that began, we sheet mulched in December of 2010. We finished the sheet mulching in February of 2011 and began construction on our first bed in, I believe, April. So it's halfway through 2011, and we've donated probably close to 100 pounds to the Resource Center this year, and that's while the beds have been built, and we've been in the process of actually constructing the larger garden. We also hope, that with the garden being completely built, that we'll be able to donate a lot more. I mean, we have 8 large beds.
Yeah, 100 pounds is incredible from an incomplete garden.
That's true.
The garden has been here since 2008. We broke ground and began converting the soccer field into a food growing project. Initially, the project was incubated by the Livability Project, which was a small nonprofit here in Pacifica. And the sole purpose for the garden at the time was to help improve food security for our community and assist with this movement of relocalizing food production and eating locally, reducing our carbon footprint, and actually helping people learn how to grow food in their own yards. It's our 4th growing season, and we have a number of programs that we've initiated, a children's garden-based education program and our food donation program. This is a great relationship with the Pacifica School District. This soccer field at the Lindemar Education Center had been unused for several years, and the school district came to the Livability Project in early 2008 and essentially volunteered the use of the soccer field to build the garden. Our obligation, so to speak, with the district is to educate children in the school district about food growing, about where food comes from, nutrition, and we host our field trips for that purpose. It really is sort of a long-term strategy for many people that are involved in the healthcare system to really kind of raise our current generation of children into getting away from our industrialized food system and the fast food industry. What's happening is that the kids are, when we get comments from them, what's happening is they will write us thank you notes or little letters and say, I never knew that potatoes grew in the ground, or I have never harvested a carrot, or I've never eaten tomatoes right off of a vine. And we know from research about garden-based education that when children see where food grows, where they actually participate in either growing or harvesting or have an understanding of how food really is produced, that they make better food choices. The way we distribute food in the garden is we distribute it amongst the volunteers who grow it. And we had a surplus. And at some point along the line, one of our volunteers suggested that we start donating the food to the Pacifica Resource Center. So in our first year, we began donating fresh produce from the garden to the Resource Center, and then since then we have developed our relationship with Anita and the Resource Center to more fully develop a donation program. And so now we donate on a weekly basis. To date, since 2008, we've donated almost a half a ton of fresh produce to the Pacifica Resource Center.
I work for Pacifica Spindrift Players. I'm their box office manager, and the board adopted the Resource Center about a year and a half ago. So every month the board brings in food or money. And last year I thought, what does the farmers market do with the leftover produce? So I spoke with Aaron last year, and every week we pick up produce here for the Resource Center. The farmers donate quite a bit of produce.
All this produce that we have, it will not be good for the following market. And plus, they throw it goes back into the ground. We feel that there's needy people out there. We would rather it go to them.
We get food out into the community through monthly, weekly, and drop-in food programs.
Family Harvest is a monthly program. It helps families with children under 18 in the household, and it provides that extra that family need just to make the budget work. Is in coordination with Second Harvest Food Bank. We changed the Family Harvest location to the American Legion Hall. And so we start a different process now. We go by appointments. It's been a great help for the families. That particular program is separate from the food that we have here. And right now we have 82 families, and we have provided 10,000 pounds of food last month. In the past 6 months, we have had regular people coming all the time. They don't miss it. It's part of their budget. So, and I also have to plan how many volunteers do I need for the program. And I do need between 8 and 15 people every month for that program. And there is some physical activities, but there's also some activities for other people that would like to volunteer, like just passing out the food and just overseeing the program, helping in the front desk. I depend on my volunteers for that program work every month. So if somebody would like to volunteer, please call. I need volunteers every single month. The Produce Mobile is not only for families, it's for singles and everybody that needs the help.
I've been here for about 26 years and was pretty good relationships with Pat Pack, and we did a lot of co-joint things back in those days. And recently with the new folk who work at the Resource Center, it's been a great thing working with them through this produce wagon. And personally our church does some things as well with homeless, but especially we have decided the last few years to join up with the Resource Center because they're such a viable part of our community in that area. I like this Monday. We got the second Monday of every month. We pull the tables out from the church building, and this big old wagon shows up with the most beautiful. I don't know why in the heck the farmers would ever want to give up some of the produce that they bring here and get to watch the people of Pacifica come by. But they're the kind of folk that they need a little help. And today we have potatoes and onions. Boy, there's nothing better than fried potatoes and onions. And the watermelon, Slice that puppy up, it'll make it all day long go good. I like today.
Even if it's not the right day, if they look and you say something, they give you food and stuff when you need it.
To get into the resource center, they go to the pantry. You need an appointment. Sometimes case managers are not available right away, but if you need the food, you're able to get some food from the pantry. But we have other programs where you don't need an appointment and you just drop in. So we have the bread and we have the produce. And we have over here on the front, on the front of the office, that you could always drop in and get anything that is on the front. And you don't need an appointment for that.
And they're helping me with my food, and they have good food here. Not canned, but healthy, wholesome foods.
I really had this dream or idea of helping families look into their budget a little bit more in depth, and just trying to figure out ways for every individual to work with the money that they have.
There's a financial component to almost every case plan that I would put together with an individual or with a family. So at the root of it, we're looking if most people come to the Resource Center because there's not sufficient income in their family for some reason.
We talk about credit repair, how to obtain a credit card, how to open up a bank account.
For folks who have income or are looking to grow their income, we have our tax services, we have savings plans. We have, again, the strategic use of our food or our rental assistance programs to help families regain their self-sufficiency to get back on their feet.
One of my favorite programs that the Pacifica Resource Center does is their back to school program. And the reason I think it's important is because when children start a new school year, it gives them a lot of, it gives them a good feeling to go back to school with new clothes and new books, a new backpack filled with new supplies. I think it makes them feel positive about going back to school at the beginning of the year, and that's got to be a good thing.
In addition to our ongoing food and financial services, we have annual programs like Back to School, holidays, and Thanksgiving. We also provide emergency services to help people meet their basic needs. On our new website, we've listed all of our services, and you can go to any one of the pages to learn more about the program, as well as anything that you need to qualify for it. One of our most loved programs is Adopt a Family. Every year we work with our neighbors to bring holiday spirit to hundreds of Pacifica children. You can learn more about us or what's going on at the Resource Center by checking out our calendar or our blog for current events. And if you'd like to find out where we're located, click on the map. It takes a lot of people to distribute over 150,000 pounds of food every year.
Helping people is a wonderful thing.
I think they are doing the most wonderful, top-notch job with very limited resources, because they're in straitened circumstances also, and they're really doing a very comprehensive job, and I'm very pleased to be using their services.
Well, first of all, they are a resource. It's not just a place to go get things, to get money and to get produce, to get groceries. It's a place to get ideas. If you're having a tough time with jobs or looking to have an apartment or tough times with your kids, they provide the resources. They tell you where to go, what to do. And man, these last couple of years, they help people fill out their taxes. It's been a wonderful thing. Then, of course, they are a resource center in helping people with particular resources. So we have a pretty heavy homeless group of people here that live in Pacifica. It's a place to go get food. However, more than that, we have a large amount of people that barely make it every month, that are not homeless, but they don't have things to kick them over each month. And so it's a great place to just get a few groceries, maybe once a month or so, or maybe a little help with a bill every once in a while. But you know, my greatest accolades for the Resource Center is their intelligence of being able to tell people where to go and what to do to have take care of things.
I was once there. I was a single parent. I have a parent who was a single parent. I'm an immigrant. And also, I'm part of a wonderful community.
My husband's family utilized the Resource Center when he was a young child, and it's near and dear to our hearts, the gratitude that he holds for them, in addition to the fact that I'm a lifelong Pacifican as well, and it's been an ongoing source of stability for our community.
There's no bureaucracy, there's no red tape, there's no difficulty getting the services. You walk in, you get what you need, and that's important to me, that my neighbors, my friends can get that service when they need it.
That it's
available.
See, there's not
a lot of
any,
people know about it though.
not they're there in the case of emergencies.
It's a wonderful community service, and I feel very grateful that it's here.
They're like family, and once you get your foot in the door, you don't want to leave.
The Pacifica Resource Center, I am so lucky to be here because you see people who is in needs and being helped. It's wonderful. And the Resource Center not only goes and try to help everybody as an individual. It's case by case. And what the people needs in here. I don't see nobody just leave with, because they come and say, okay, I just need food. Because they need more than food. So it's extra that they get from the Resource Center.
Support. That it's an incredibly emotional roller coaster to constantly be getting things on one hand and then not getting them on another because the job situation is so bad, and having to tell your kids, no, we can't afford that, it's really tough. So I come and I really feel that it's a very friendly atmosphere, that I'm coming in, finally I'm being taken care of. And so for my family to have me as support, it means that I have to have support from someone else.
I think the center is very helpful to people, and they make you feel very welcome, and they're very kind and considerate.
I believe in what the community does. I believe in our mission, neighbors, helping neighbors. And that every time that somebody comes back and it's a successful story, every time that I help somebody get into shelter, every time that I help prevent the family to be homeless, or that they're going to have food on the table that night, that keeps me going.
Just the fact that it's here if anybody that I loved or knew ever needed it, and the fact that people utilize it and need it is wonderful.
The coolest thing about working here is the chance to work in the community in which I live and to meet so many amazing people, both people coming in this constant path of generosity, people with food and financial resources and gifts of time and talent they want to bring to the Pacifica Resource Center, as well as all the amazing, amazing clients that I meet. Every single week, I have someone that I have the honor to sit down with in my office working on their case management plan. And they leave me with something that I'm immediately able to use within a day or two that's helpful to another family. So my clients here at the Resource Center have been some of my greatest teachers in all the work that I've done in my life.
The Resource Center runs on funds partly from the city, partly from the county, and partly from you, our residents. It really feels like a part of a community to be able to help people through the Resource Center.
Here in Pacifica, there is wonderful people who always donate as individual families or church or some organizations who are always donating either food, or they donate diapers, or they donate money.
I don't think people realize that the Resource Center now takes perishable foods. It was always canned goods.
One of the challenges of the Pacifica Resource Center is that we are small and have a small budget and a small staff. So there are benefits to that, but there are also problems with that because we can only do so much, only so many people, so many hours in a day.
We have to get out to the community all year round because people are not just hungry at the holidays or in need at the holidays. It's all year.
We are always looking for extra money, extra help, extra ideas, extra enthusiasm, extra donations. We're always looking for extra things, but our challenge at this point is just that we're small, but we do a lot with a little.
Wow, that's a lot of people and 150,000 pounds of food distributed. Well, I do want to mention that all of the organizations working with the Pacifica Resource Center that you saw in the video are also on the Pacifica Resource Center website.
And now, thanks to you, Suzanne, we have the tools to tell our story more effectively through our website and through the hours of video that we shot for this episode. You are amazing at what you do, and you've helped us so much to be able to tell a great story about the Pacifica Resource Center. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I hope that more people learn the value of volunteering. I mean, here at PCT 26, we're volunteers, the Historical Society, not to mention all the work that you do and the organizations that you work with. So I got a lot out of it, too.